that's the biggest thing when you're playing for England, is actually the media side of things and how tough that is. So at least now, if I do get an opportunity, you know, I'll know what to expect.
You obviously had a little taste in 50 over cricket and Test cricket playing for England. Obviously, probably the proudest moment of your career, I assume, getting presented with your cap from Atherton.
Athens, yeah, Atherton.
It was. So talk to us a bit about, obviously you had the season 2016 where you scored 100 every time you batted, basically. Got selected for the India tour, and then, you know, by your own admission, probably had a bit of a tough time with Ashwin, or we've spoke about it off camera. But talk us through sort of the wave that you rode that sort of 2016 season to then unfortunately getting left out.
Yeah, it was obviously 2016 starting there. Not much went wrong for me that summer, and it was, you know, it was great for me, and I've learned over the past 2 years and sort of what I did well and what I didn't do well. But the England side of things, obviously, it started well actually in Bangladesh in the one-dayers. We won 2-1, and I got a few runs in that in fairly tough conditions. So that was obviously a nice start, and I was positive going into the Test stuff. But yeah, I'll be the first to admit that things didn't go to plan. I think the toughest thing about going there was, you know, people talk a lot about sort of, you know, just what you've done for your county, go and do that for England, which is obviously very hard because I've played against seam all summer, and that's where I've scored most of my runs. So then going into a series where you just play spin in alien conditions, where I think Alistair Cook actually said the wickets in Bangladesh were 2 of the toughest he's actually played on in his career, which obviously shows a lot for, you know, for me on debut batting with him. It was tough. So, you know, a lot of the guys said, you know, just go and play your way, but it's not that easy to go out and necessarily reverse sweep the second over of a Test match. And I actually did do it in the second game and got 50. And looking back, you know, maybe I'd have gone into it and just done that in the first game. But yeah, it was a great learning thing for me, because obviously getting to represent your country at such a young age and sort of be in the dressing room, and you know what it's like now. So if I do get another chance, I think the biggest shock when you play for England is actually the media, and that's something that I don't think you can actually prepare a young, or not even a young, if someone plays at 30, you can't prepare yourself for that in county cricket. Because I actually say to a lot of people that summer I scored 4 big hundreds, and if you take those out, I was probably averaging 15 in the rest of the game. So obviously when you play for England, you're expected to almost consistently score runs, but that's actually something that I didn't do that year. That year when I got in, I went big, and I tried to, you know, if I go big and get 150 plus, you're going to win most games. So I think that was the toughest thing. And obviously the media don't actually really see what you're doing throughout the whole summer. At the start of that summer, I wasn't even close to playing for England. They wouldn't have even been looking at me to play for England, so they wouldn't have seen me going like 0, 7, 15, 20, 180. So that was the hardest thing. Obviously I only played 4 games and didn't score the runs to get myself another game, and that happens then, and you can't go through a series of not scoring runs and then just score 100 at the end of it. You know, you've almost got to be performing throughout the series. But Ashwin is a great bowler, and he gets a lot of left-handers out in those conditions. So I think the biggest learning for me was not to overthink it, which I did do, and you start doubting yourself when you go back home. And I've almost doubted my game against off-spin over the past couple of years, and probably shouldn't have done, and that was why this tour was so good for me to go to India now. And almost, you know, I didn't score loads of runs, but I showed that I could score runs in those conditions against a fairly good team, which the India A side was fairly good. And obviously there was that, you know, in the Test matches they had that off spinner, and it was very tricky. And you know, I got out to the other 2 bowlers, not him, but I got through him. But I think that's the biggest thing when you're playing for England, is actually the media side of things and how tough that is. So at least now, if I do get an opportunity, you know, I'll know what to expect. And I've almost, over the past few years, I think I've matured as a cricketer, and I know that it's going to be tough if I do get an opportunity. But I think the main way is, which is what I did in India, was to just play into my strengths, almost try and keep things simple, see ball, hit ball. I think that's when I'm at my best, at keeping it pretty simple. And you know, if I'm going to play a big drive over a Test match, I'm going to hit it for 4. You need to score runs, and so I think that's the biggest thing for me.